fall in love with the problem and not with the solution. If you fall in love with the solution, you will never adapt to the problem. Learn with other people's money. Don't reinvent the wheel before trying what exists in the market. Never try to be better than the other. Become better than yourself.
Today's guest is Annie Sear, CEO and co-founder of Tengiva, the leading platform modernizing one of the world's largest and most complex industries, textiles. She wrote the authoritative textbook in the space. She went inside the industry, deep inside, and watched how one of the largest, most complex industries on the planet was still running on spreadsheets, gut instinct, and tribal knowledge. What she saw, she couldn't unsee. That became Tengiva, a venture-backed platform quietly rewiring how manufacturers, suppliers, and brands in this textile world actually connect and do business, not by disrupting from the outside, but by understanding the industry well enough to rebuild it from within. Annie, welcome to the Parallel Entrepreneur. Take us back to the moment that uh, you challenged the system and then the professor challenged you, and why, what was behind you writing? What was the experience of writing the defining reference resource for the textile industry?
It was actually out of a need. I had this class on textile, incredible knowledge was being shared by the professor. And as I was reading and going through the material, I was wondering, like, okay, I want to learn more. What's next? And you either had these massive Bibles or these small books saying, oh, wool is nice. I was like, okay, there's kind of no middle ground, just dominate down into a single page where I can see, oh, this fiber performs best for those. So I turned to my professor, who to me had all of the legitimacy to be writing such a book. And I said, why don't you write a book? There's like this massive gap in the market. And she said, I don't have time. Why don't you?
Why don't
And
you
she
write it?
launched me on this 3-year journey aside of studying, working in the industry and everything to actually go through all the knowledge, more than 80 books, capturing all of these data, these performance, and synthesizing it into a 100 something page book that contains a comparator where you can say, okay, I want to create, let's say, a fabric that will um, dry fast or that will resist to UV. And then from there, you have like these graphs and you can find what would be the best blend to achieve your results.
So this is a 3-year odyssey. What did it teach you about how information and knowledge is stored in or not stored in the textile industry?
So, in textiles, you're familiar with it. They will use the word technology to talk about new fibers and
Talk about the
new
fabric.
weave.
Yeah.
Exactly. But for us, you and I, technologies is often the software related to it. What I've learned through that is like the technical behind the fabric. How does it works? How will it react? What I did not learn from that because I was in book was the industry experience. This is an untold truth, untold reality, untold elements that are not written anywhere. What is an MOQ, MOC, lead time, lab dip, and so on? How does that work? The only way I could learn that aspect was by working in the industry with the suppliers, with the brands, and with the whole ecosystem. There's no book on that.
I was always shocked in the textile business how many handoffs there are between supplier for raw material and the movements and the shipments and the storage and then the processing and the weaving and the binding and the coloring and walk us through from your perspective. It's I called it a complex industry earlier. I think that's from my experience. Would you agree? And how would you describe it?
In which way? There are so many ways it can be complex.
Yeah.
If we look, for example, on a standpoint of just the commercial aspect, ordering textiles, because of we are consumer as well, and we're so used to go online and find everything we want and get it delivered, we kind as human like got used to this facility. When you start in the textile industry as an external person who's not familiar with the industry, you're faced with actually a completely different approach in terms of how people sell, how they buy, how you pay, and so on. For example, you've been through that. You need to make a first prototype for your happy overall. What do you do? So now with Tengiva software, you could go online and do find suppliers that are powered by our software and yes, find stock levels and see what they have. That's how we're changing the game. But the reality of the industry outside of Tengiva's reality is you need to go to a trade show. You need to meet the suppliers. You need to see what they have in stock. You still can do that with Tengiva. You'll have the iPad, it continues, don't worry, it doesn't change that. But it will accelerate certain discovery stage as well. And then you want what? 5, 10 meter to do your first prototype? What
Right.
happens when you ask that? Tell me, you've been there.
Oh, well, they say our minimum order is 1,000 yards or 10,000 yards. But we can send you a swatch. The minimums, the volume, the global nature of the industry, very complex. What's the difference between disruption and innovation in your approach to this business?
I think innovating has to respect the established culture. This is, you don't want to change how people interact or connect. You just want to make it easier and more fluid. That's how we see it. We don't want to change, like, trade shows is fun. You know, you go there, you discover, it's like Candyland for someone who
It
like textiles. It's like
it's a
you go
human
there and you're like,
experience.
this is all the new stuff.
Yeah, and
It's
you see
everything that is new. It's fun
all
and
the
you touch
people
and
decked
yes,
out.
exactly. And it's like curated topic. Like a lot of these trade shows specialize on sports, on denim, on couture, on X. So you go there and you have in one place like a curated selection of textile producers that can serve what you need and what you're looking for. And like we said in the beginning, you will never remove the human, the tangible aspect of the textile. I don't believe this will be removed ever. But what is fun when you're there and what is fun when you're with your sales rep is that they tell you about the new things. You want them to be a consultant, you want them to be a coach to you. I'm doing my new happy overall. This is what I need. What is the best thing you would recommend and why would you recommend it? That's what you want them to do with you. You don't want to start doing administrative and taking notes, and you want that to just happen in the back.
Yeah,
You want to be continue being with the person. It's your expert, your coach, and AI will not replace it. It's going to enhance it. Yeah, it's going to help your research. It's going to give these things, but there are certain things when you're with the rep that they can tell you, oh, but have that thing that is new and actually come and see it. Let's play with it. And it creates this dynamic that is so essential. So that's how we see innovation. It's about let's remove what's inefficient, the administrative, the part we don't want to focus on so that we focus our energy on what is value added. One of our client conducted a research internally or an analysis internally on how much time its sales team was spending on non-sales related activities. And this is not an isolated case, just so you know. That's
well,
one
yeah,
example, but it's the same situation in 90% of the textile businesses. Do you know how much? 80% of their time on
80%.
non-sales
Oh,
related.
ouch.
Ouch. Yeah,
Tracking stuff down in operations or in
yeah.
production.
If you're a salesperson, you want to be with the people. You
Mm.
want to do business. You're proactive. It's their mindset. So that's what we do. We give them tools to be better at what they do and to focus on more what they do best.
In the parallel entrepreneur lived experience, one of our greatest challenges is identifying opportunities, and you're living in a world just full of them, and uh, prioritizing the solution and their time. How do you? What's your secret sauce for prioritizing opportunities in this market?
What is most critical for our clients in their commercial operation and the biggest gain they can have? So, this is really where we start and do the focus. Currency. Most of textile companies work in USDs. USD. Everyone is quite familiar with the currency. But in some other markets where we're really growing, like Brazil, 90% of their trade is actually inside the country. So they are not trading in US and they are not familiar just yet to be pricing their product in USD.
Mm.
So that was a critical point that our clients in Brazil, which represent quite a substantial amount of our client base, needed in priority. So that's how we do in terms of what is most priority. Pri- pri- Woo, French took
What's
over.
what's okay? You're free.
Priority to focus on.
You just described a unique market with a unique problem, with a unique relationship with its marketplace versus India, where we've sourced some hand block fabric. Then I think we have to pay in their currency. So we have to do a conversion. There are other, obviously, China, Vietnam, the rest of the world where textiles are produced. That's still a huge number of different feedback loops and customer priority. Like everybody's saying, solve my problem first. How do you weight these decisions?
First, it's to evaluate the proportion of demand. So, for example, the currency, we have an important client base that was asking for this functionality and that it was key for them to be able to fully use our software. Is it feasible and worth it for the rest of the client? So, is it something that will take 3 months and impact other developments? And should we balance it out? So, it's really a case by case. We don't develop everything that clients ask, not in the get go. And because maybe an important point about our software, how it's built, is that it's one size fits all. Everybody is on the same version, so they don't need to do updates. They don't need to change. It's always the latest version. And there's no, I want an extra functionality. Everyone has it all. It's unlimited seats. It's everyone has access to all the functionality. We really make it accessible so they get the full benefits of it. So when we take a decision to release something, we say, will it benefit all of our clients? And are we developing it with all our clients in the mindset? But it came originally from a key urgency from one group.
Okay. Well, so this is interesting because I think in your presentations and writings that have influenced the industry, I think you recognize that you do things your way and not the way of the competition. I think that's a direct quote, and you're trying at the same time to operate and in a genuinely conservative, even a, I think this is a fair term, even a protectionist industry. Um, and if there's a long established protectionist culture around proprietary knowledge, that seems to me, at least at the root of why things don't get systemized and computerized and automated, and you're trying to solve for accessibility in information. Is this proprietary knowledge about how something is built or made or the inks used and the different is there a tension with your emphasis on differentiation and building toward a shared anonymized industry sort of knowledge base and community?
One of the main fear that you've likely encountered is I don't want my products to be copied. What they discover in the way we address that element is it's more detrimental for them to hide it than to show it. What I mean by that is, for example, price. Price is a key variables that is very, very important for textile supplier. So how we build up the price into our software is a bit different. So how it works is that client only sees the price that is applicable to them. It's always depending on the volume they want to purchase. The price is not the same if you want to buy 5 meters or if you're going in full production mode and you go for 1,000 meter. So we've developed the software in a way that when the client goes into meeting certain, for example, the minimums, then they see the price for the minimums directly. So they feel more like a sense of protection because the filtering is done automatically by recognizing who's connected and who has access to, depending on the volume they want to purchase or not. And the buyer on its side, it's also more transparent because you're like, this is what they would tell me anyway if I call them. So it's kind of the middle ground. We found ways that supplier would feel protected and buyers would feel transparency through it. But it's always a middle ground into how to navigate through these fears, through these knowledge, and this it's change management in the end.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great observation. Almost everything fundamentally comes down to your skills in change management, right? I know this industry to be a male-dominated industry. That's my personal experience. Challenge me if I don't have that right. What are your superpowers that have helped you get traction?
I don't sell to people. First, I'm a passionate person. So when I speak with the clients or the users, I don't speak out of a sales pitch. I speak out of my own art. Like, I've built it because I needed it. Like, I was in the shoes of your client and I needed it. And then it's about how to make them see in their current process, not criticize. I think we should never criticize. Always say, so this is good from what you have today. But here's by adding this little thing, how more you can do with it. This is my superpower. And creating mental image with the client. I say, okay, you are physically in your trade show booth. Your client has taken 10, 20, 30 fabric swatch hangers and put it on your table. What's next? You know, it will take note, broach your business card, or sometimes they have an Excel, or sometimes they have an ERP with barcodes.
It's
So,
wildly varies.
exactly. And then I explain them. So imagine instead you take your phone, or your client can even do it. You both have access. You scan, you save X client during this trade show was looking for that. And then, like a Google Doc, you type in and then you share. And your client has it not 3 weeks later before they leave your booth. And
Yeah,
then they
I
can
I got swatches after the January trade show that were 4 months later delivered from Korea, and I, like, had to completely disconnected from the original inquiry, etcetera. But I you it sounds like your superpower is about connection, collaboration, but not conversion. You're not trying to convert anybody.
now.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
It's about them taking ownership about the software and what they see it could be beneficial to them. One of the main question I ask actually clients at the beginning of the meeting, I say, before I tell you anything about what it does, is imagine you have a magic wand in your hand. What would you have a tool do for you that would save you time as a commercial director? And the answer is always magic.
Magic. So what lessons have you learned early in your career that still influence you today?
The first one is always fall in love with the problem and not with the solution. Because this is the best way. You were asking about focus earlier. If you fall in love with the solution, you will never adapt to the problem. Whereas if you target a problem, your solution will adapt to it. It sounds simple, but 90% of the people fall into it. And even I, at some point, I fell into it. Everyone does. It's normal. And it's when you notice it, just ask yourself, is it the right solution for the problem I'm targeting? And this will guide all of your decision. The other one is smell. Like when you arrive so rigid into a meeting, people are already in the defense mode. Anyone, even if they know you, everyone is always in the defense mode. And when someone smiles, you cannot not smile. You cannot be cold. So it just lightens up the room and just smile. You don't need to say anything, just smile. It changes the whole mood, makes everyone feel more comfortable. It makes you feel more comfortable. So you're more fluid into your conversation. The most important one is learn with other people's money. Don't reinvent the wheel before trying what exists in the market. Like when we started, we spent the first 2 years, even before we became a technology, testing existing technology from the market. We had a vision, we were seeing something, we said, okay, let's try what already exists. Let's tear it down and break it, and let's see if it could be applied. And actually, if that solution could solve this problem. What we've learned is that all these existing technology were not built for it. So that's where we said, okay, there's clearly a gap. Existing technology don't solve it. We need to build the technology. So we learned from other people's mistake or errors or the way they've built it on how we could build our solution better. That's what I mean by learn with other people money, not take investors' money and
No, no.
spend it. It's not
My
it.
okay, my grandfather made that more approachable for me as one of my life lessons. He said, "Mark, if you want to be successful, learn from the mistakes of others. They're the least expensive kind."
You got it. Exactly.
My friend Brandon shared a piece of advice recently. Dress so that if someone dressed up as you for a costume party, everyone would know it was you. Now, that's not entirely about clothing. That's about identity, about showing up fully. My wife Jenny and I are leaning in on this concept, both in our personal lives and now in a little startup we call Happy Overall. We're making overalls. Each one is made to order as a wearable canvas for art. Overalls that are comfortable, durable, and expressive. We're sourcing soft, 100% cotton. We're partnering with designers and with local seamstresses who love the artistry of a well-crafted piece of clothing. So check out happyoverall.com to see pics and see if anything resonates with you. Fully you, and it'll happen every time you reach for them. If you want to be part of the first run, join our waitlist at happyoverall.com. Talk to me about the lessons that you've learned in fundraising, because that's something that entrepreneurs are always concerned about: capital, and not other people's money, but money that wants to be attracted to your business. And there's an opportunity to exploit, in your case, like this almost limitless set of opportunities. Um, you raised capital the traditional way, the hard way? What did you learn in your capital raising journey as a CEO?
So, another part of these feedbacks I give to entrepreneurs is to define their pathways. I don't see like it as technologies and innovation, or like I see it as the way you fund your business and the way you will grow. I think there's a traditional approach, which means you grow as you sell, as your natural growth goes. I call it the traditional aspect. So, more you sell, more you have money, and more you grow and reinvest, and so on. It works very well for many business models. And then you have the other pathway that, for example, us, the level of advancement of our technology is very complex. We're talking like a single transaction, financial transaction or payment can be subdivided and automatically paid across 100 payments. So the level of financial complexity just on that aspect and reporting and tracking and so on requires massive investment from the get go. So you need to bring in more funds before you become profitable. Whereas on the traditional aspect, you're becoming profitable and you're growing and you're scaling with your profitability. I think this is always the first question someone should ask, and always try to see if there's a way they can go the traditional way. Not all software needs to go the complex fundraising aspect. Don't go there if you can do it like by growing in a progressive way.
So if your customers can fund your growth, that's the way you should go.
If you can, do
Yeah.
go. If you have a plan that makes it, if it's the right product, if it's the right approach, go this direction. Fundraising, I gotta admit, I kind of have fun doing that, but it's not for
Oh,
everyone. People hate it normally. I have fun. It's very challenging. You learn how to fit with your partners, with your investors, what they can bring to the table, what what is the vision? Do you and your investors have the same long-term vision? Are you going in the same direction? And this will be key for the growth for the future of the company. It's not
alignment.
I decide everything. We work as a team because they come in as a partner in it, and you have to see it in this way.
If you could go back and tell the student who wrote that textbook the truth about what this journey actually looks like, what would you say to yourself?
Never try to be better than the other. Become better than yourself. So, too many people just focus on what the competitor does and they want to like go faster, go better than the competitor. It's okay to know what they do. It's okay to see where your competitor is, but be yourself. Have your own line because you're going to go faster because you're not going in the same direction likely than your competitor. Set your goal, go ahead, know your competitors, but don't become better than them. Set your own bars and go better than yourself, and you will go much faster and much, much further. This is what drove me every single day and what brought us. I look at some of my competitors back in the days, they are world aparts. They failed, many of them, because they focus on trying to go in one trajectory. And I was going in that one, and I knew that one was the good one. So it's good. I know they're there, but I'm going that way because that's what I know out of my expertise, the right trajectory to achieve it.
What is it like for you to recruit talent into this industry, into solving this problem that you're trying to solve?
The most difficult skill set to teach to a new person that joins, not technology, but for example, in customer success management. The one thing I cannot teach is the textile industry experience. The person needs to come with it. They need to have seen it. They need to have lived the pain.
Mm.
And then it's just about sitting down, walking them through how this would have changed their life in their previous job. And then they get it. And then it becomes part of their story of how they explain, how they walk people. Oh my God, I remember that time. Like us today, I remember that time. It was so complicated. If I would have had that, it would have changed it that way. They make it their own.
Make it their own. I remember taking the entire Swiftwick team on factory tours. Like I was supplying and dealing with innovation and working with the engineers who had come up with unique properties in certain technology that was their textile, right? How they created it. It was absolutely fascinating. And then I decided, well, I'm going to bring the salespeople and the customer service people and the operations people and the shipping people. our entire company would go on field trips, and we would go to the dyeing facility or to the weaving facility or to the place where they make individual threads. Actually, in one of those experiences, I remember I got to see how dental floss is made. You know, uh, it's amazing how many different materials that we could talk about, but side by side processing, no. Plant, drive 3 hours to another plant, drive 6 hours to another plant. I mean, it was very distributed. It was a joy creating experience for me to watch my vendors tour their facilities and have our team jaw dropped at what level of industry and size of the machines and the scale of the power and the buildings. This industry is awesome. And then at the same time, with Happy Overall, we're working with cottage startup company kinds of um, seamstresses and people that are actually assembling the product because they love what they do, and it's a micro industry. 10 years from now, you've hung it up and you were done. What is the thing that you will have accomplished in this industry that you'll be known for?
I don't want to be known for. I don't need to be known for. I'm not doing Tengiva for that. I really do it out of I've had the pain of the brand's side,
Mhm.
navigating hundreds of material, tracking, information, and so on, and feeling like I was only leveraging 5% of everything, every new innovation already in the market. And I just know how it could help the industry, have helped me in the past, and this is what drives me every day. I just want to solve that pain I used to have for all the other people in the industry. That's really it.
Mm.
It doesn't need to have my name. It's just about solving it so that the whole industry continues. The textile industry builds cities. It built a whole ecosystem in countries and education and school and so on. And so core, and we so forget it every day, but it's everywhere around us. And I do believe it deserves this place as a beautiful, innovative industry that is seen as an example for all the other supply chain. That's why we do it.
If you could wave a magic wand, this is the question you ask your customers. If you could wave a magic wand, what would it be?
I want to be able to see everything, every textile in the world in one place, to discover all the supplier and know who's the best and where to go and not miss one. Like, I want to be sure I did search through everyone that existed. One place, one tool that guides me towards. And then when I'm there, I take the time with them.
As somebody who tracks startups, somebody who's myself, I think, addicted in some obvious ways to starting up and creating new businesses, I've I've had a lot of people come to me over the last 20 years with an idea for a new brand or an idea for a new, usually it's a company and I'm doing it again now. And I've tried to be supportive and tried to give to that culture the creative energy that would feed that movement in that person. And yet in the back of my mind, I'm aware of how difficult it is and how challenging it is. And when you paint the vision of wouldn't it be great if there was one place, w there's no way that my wife, and she's capable of more than most are capable of anything. There's no way that she would have tackled all these problems that we've uh, overcome, that we've identified, overcome, navigated, um, without my 12 or 15 years of experience, whatever that is, in the textile industry. And I maintained all my relationships too, right? That I picked up the phone and called people that I knew and bam, we were in the overall manufacturing business. Um, and I got excited about it. And I told a friend, look how fast we've come through this. And he said, yeah, 30 years plus 30 days, and it's really encouraging to me. I can really resonate. What's coming up for me is I feel how exciting it would be for everybody with an idea for a brand, an idea for a niche solution for amputees or for people who have certain dexterous challenges they want to solve, a clothing issue with a new method. I've had all those conversations. Most of those people didn't get a chance to really achieve that dream because finding the information and sorting through it and picking vendors and making those decisions is ridiculously complex. Yeah, I cannot think of any vision that I've heard more recently that resonates higher, and might even affect more people than having a really efficient textile supply chain and really easy access to information so that more people could be creators.
I like that. What you're saying really resonates with me as well. I always dreamed, since, well, I studied in fashion from the get go to have my own brands and start it and build it. And what always stopped me was the fact that you cannot access all of the materials you want, or it's very difficult to find exactly what you want. So, yes, the goal is that we give the chance to anyone who wants to improve, to scale, to develop, to create, to deliver their vision, to have access to materials.
I used to tell myself that the word balance was an illusion, that I think I was convincing myself that my lack of balance was a virtue, and my work and plow through anything and overcome everything. I missed a lot, that I can look back and see in different areas of my life, different facets of relationships that I could have become more rich, or life experiences that would have reflected the value of that balance. And now I think of balance as the goal. And, how do you land? How do you balance? How do you fall in on the word balance?
I don't see balance as a goal. I see balance as a healthy way of living and of delivering quality work. Because at some point, even if you keep on pushing and running, you're going to get tired, and this will impact on your team and this will impact on your results. So it's about listening to what you can do today, what you can deliver, what you cannot, and like making logic out of it. One of the example I use a lot is I used to work, I was studying and working in parallel at the emergency of an hospital. And this is when I did this balance learning, or setting your own limits learning. At the emergency, it's a role called adjoint administrative agent. But the reality is, you're not just doing paperwork. You're actually coordinating the whole shebang around the patient in the emergency
Environment.
environment. So the nurses that needs this or that needs to place this lab and this blood test, and then you have the doctors coming and then they throw you the notes that they just made that you have to review, and then you need to coordinate x-rays, and then all of that around the patient with no medical training whatsoever. You're just like thrown there, learn about it, read doctor's notes, because back in the day, now it's getting computerized, but that was all pen and paper, and many of them look like an ECG, an electrocardiogram. Anyway, and you have to read that. You have to say, oh, you need to do that test, and so on. And all in the emergency state, because you could have a critical patient that just came in, and then manage the family because the person is about to pass away. And then you have to direct them. And then the nurse and the doctor continues the treatment, but you're still in the middle of all of it. And what happened is that when you leave, you bring all of this stress back with you.
Mm.
And then you don't sleep. And then you get nervous. And then the next day, the people around you feels it. And then you're it's 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 a tumble. It's a snowball effect. So I taught myself onto training. Have I done everything I could do? And have I delivered everything I can today? The answer is yes. Good. I can go. And when I left work, I had to practice. It's actually a practice. And I practice, okay, I'm putting a feet out of the door. At the moment that my feet touch the ground, I need to stop thinking. And if I start thinking of, oh, I might have forgot that, I think this, I had to force myself saying, there is something, someone that took your responsibility when you left. You gave them everything you had at that moment. This person also bears a responsibility and needs to continue. So it's a practice. It took me years to master it. And I'm happy I did that in the past because as an entrepreneur, you can often forget it.
Yeah, it sounds like a form of delegation. You were enabling yourself to delegate and then set it down, let it go.
And setting barriers to, am I gonna deliver a quality work or am I just insisting and will deliver bad quality? So it's about putting a stop, prioritizing what needs to be done, and then you continue. You cannot do more than what you can do. And even if you push and go further, there's a limit to what you can do. And if you push past it, you will crawl. If I crawl, the company crawls. At this stage, when you're startups, you need to be sure that you're solid because too much of the company still depends on us, on our vision, on bringing everyone to the boat. So I'm the most important person to take care of by myself. If I go well, I will take the time with my team. They will be more productive. They will have more resource. We're going to fundraise better. That's it. I have to say, is it detrimental to me? Is it positive? It's positive, good, let's process. Or I'm too tired, I cannot process it. It's okay, it happens. We're not machines. Even machines run out of battery at some point.
You used the word startup, and I it's unusual to me. I think your company started in 2018 at the beginning. Uh,
We
th
started the journey in 2018. So, what
Yeah,
we did in 2018 is exactly what I told you. We were not a technology. We were testing technology. We saw, we teared it down, we released platforms, saw how it worked, what didn't work until 2020. And that's in 2020, we said, we've gone through them all. We've scaled sales, we've built it, we've done everything, but there's so many issues in these software. Someone has to build it. And that's actually in 2020, in January 2020, so 2 years after
wow, great time
that.
to start a company.
Don't tell me.
Yeah,
Actually, I think it was December that we really went technology mode in December 2019. And indeed, 2020 was the big moment. And yeah,
y
that
you
we
had a
went
big
into the building ourselves the
you
software.
had a big cap raise in 2022, I think.
Exactly.
And then, this is just continuing. You've said you love fundraising and you love interfacing with investors and painting and aligning on the vision. That is maybe the best place to pause our conversation and just reflect. I'm grateful that you spent time. I know how busy you are. I know how challenging it is to find time, and our listeners are blessed with the wisdom and the empowering message that you bring to an important industry. Thank you for joining us here on the Parallel Entrepreneur, Annie. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this session.
Hey, thanks for listening to The Parallel Entrepreneur. And thank you to our sponsors, partners, and the amazing team behind the scenes who help make these conversations possible. If today's episode sparked something for you, be sure to follow, subscribe, and please share it. Learn about our growing community at parallelentrepreneur.com, including details on our mastermind and companion programs designed to help you align, grow, and thrive across multiple ventures. And of course, gratitude to every visionary guest who trusts us to share their story. Until next time, keep building in parallel.